When you start, Karen,
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome
Yes.
to another session of
Yes.
Excel. We are going to be looking at lookup today. Can you still see my screen?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Now you can see, just making sure I'm sharing the right one. Can you see employee ID, last name, first name?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. So lookup functions in Excel, they're basically used to look up. So you have a set of data and you're finding something within that data. But you have something, you have a character or you have an item that you want to use to find what you're looking for. And you have this whole load of data. So you use a lookup function to find like a cell in that data that relates to the character you want to use as a reference, if that makes any sense. So I have this data here, and we're going to be looking at VLOOKUP. And VLOOKUP basically is just like a vertical lookup. And lookup is one of the, I think it's one of the lookup functions actually. I have here employee ID, I have last name, I have first name. I sent this data last week. I don't know if you have it. Do you have this data?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have this data, please, if we can do it together, that would be great because it's always good to like do it and then it will stick better than just watching it.
You can resend it,
Please,
please.
where can we find the data?
Mark,
Okay,
can we do it? Can the data be resent, please?
Hi.
Okay. I think
Please resend.
if
Can
anyone
someone
has it,
please help me put it on Telegram? Only because I'm on my phone now. I'm about to drive. So when I get to the house, I can get it on my laptop.
okay.
I would appreciate it.
Okay, if someone can put it on Telegram, please, that would be great.
Okay.
So this is the pay report of an organization. And you have been given all these employees. Imagine they're not just a few. And you have like 2,000 employees. You have the employee ID and you have the pay. And you've been given this blank cells. What is the first name of the employee? So you have employee IDs, and we know that employee IDs are usually unique. Everyone will have a unique ID. So you have this unique ID, and you've been asked to find who that ID belongs to. So what's the first name of the person? What is the last name? And the way to do it is using a VLOOKUP function. So you would, as with any formula in Excel, you start with your equal to.
Sorry, Kemi, I'm not sure this is the right screen you're sharing because this one has employee ID, employee name, department salary, bonus, total pay.
Oh, okay. Okay, that was why I think I'm sharing the wrong.
Oh, we can't see your mouse moving.
Should you take my pen down from down here?
Has it changed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I've got, okay. Can you see my mouse moving now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So I've got the employee ID. I have the pay. What I need is the first name of whoever this ID belongs to and the last name. And the way to get that is by using a VLOOKUP. And with every formula in Excel, you start with your equal to, and you type VLOOKUP. And then you open a bracket. We can bring out the function box by clicking this box here. So once you put the function you want to use and you click the box here, it gives you the function arguments. I'm going to pull this down a bit. And the first thing it will ask you for is your lookup value. What do you want to use as the basis for your lookup? In this case, we want to use the employee ID, which is J in cell J5. And then the next cell is, where do you want to look up this function? As in what table, where are you comparing this to? So he wants you to put the table, the address of the table that you're looking up. And then you pick this table here. So this is the table where we'll find the first name and the last name. And you need to select everything. So it's put the table details there, B3 to D20. And then you get to the next cell. And what this is asking you is, okay, you've given us what you want to look up. You've given us the table. What column do you want us to bring the data from? If you look at this table here, my employee ID, this is my table, it's just 3 columns. My employee ID is on column 1. Last name is on column 2. And the first name is on column 3. In this case, I'm looking for the first name. So the column I'm going to bring here is column 3. So I'm just going to put 3 here. So what I'm saying is, anything, when you find that employee ID, anything in column 3, bring it. And then you have the range lookup. And what it is asking you is, it's going to ask you, if I can't find this data, what do I do? Should I just look for the nearest one? Or do you want me to bring the exact data? In this case, we want the exact data. So it's either true or false. So if you want the exact data, you type in false here. And okay. And what it has brought is, it's brought Brad. If you look through, this is quite a small table. We can see Brad. This is Brad, and that's the employee ID. And we can see that it matches this. Is that clear? I'll do it again. If we go to the next one, okay, it will be equal to VLOOKUP, open a bracket. I'll click on the function here. My lookup value is, I want it to look up employee ID, which is J6 now. And I'll put my table here, which is this table. Make sure you select everything, because it's just going to look at what you have selected. And my column index is, I want you to bring the third column, which is 3. And I want an exact match. I don't want something that looks like it. And I'm going to put false here. And okay. And that is print. So employee ID prints employee ID is A30385, which is this one, and that is print. Okay, let's do this one together. The last name. If we want to do the last name, what do we do?
So we do equals.
Equals.
The VLOOKUP.
VLOOKUP.
The box over there.
Click the box.
Open brackets.
Yes, open the bracket first.
Open bracket, yeah, sorry.
So equal to VLOOKUP. Open the bracket.
The box.
Click on the box.
Yeah.
And then what are we looking up?
The number, I don't know, whichever number. Employee ID. The
employee ID.
Yes.
Okay, so this cell.
Okay, so we select the whole table.
We select the whole table.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the column where the last name is.
Column 2.
So number 4. 4.
No, we don't have number 4. We don't have
column 2.
That's column 2.
Our table only has 3 columns.
That's 2.
That's
column
2.
2.
Yeah.
And then
I
what do we
want you
put
to
here?
stick to the whatever, so false.
To the exact match. So that's
Yes.
false.
Uh-huh.
And okay.
Yeah.
And that's Brad Pitt. So that is Brad, and Brad's surname is Pitt. So it's
Okay.
brought out the right one. If we don't want to use the box, the function box, we can also do it. So the way, once you start typing a formula in Excel, equal to, let's start with VLOOKUP again, and then we open a bracket. Can you see what is showing under this? So you don't really have to use the box. It's already prompting you on what you need to put next.
Yeah.
So it's asking you to put a lookup table. So you know that is the next thing, lookup value, sorry. So you know that is the next thing you need to put in. So our lookup value is this, right? And then you put a comma. Once you put a comma, it highlights the next one that you need to put.
Okay.
And that's the table. So you go to the table, select your table. And once you put another comma, it highlights what you need to do next, which is the column index number. And we know our last name is on column 2. So if we put 2, comma, and then it's asking us if it's a true or false. So you can just easily just pick the false here and close your bracket and enter. And then you have Prince Williams here. Prince, where's Prince? Prince, yeah, that's Williams. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do the next one. Who wants to do it?
Equal to VLOOKUP,
VLOOKUP,
open bracket,
open bracket,
the employee ID.
yeah, the employee ID, which is the lookup value. So we click on that. And
Comma.
what do we do?
Comma, table.
The table.
You select the table.
Comma.
The
column.
Yeah, what column is it?
Column 3.
Column 3. So we put 3.
Comma.
And the exact match.
And the exact match. Okay. And then we'll close the brackets and enter.
Yeah.
And this is Serena. Serena is 777569. Is that clear?
It is clear, but we don't have the date yet. So I don't know. So we can go. Yeah.
Sorry, Kemi, please, where is the column? Is it 1, 2, 3? So as in the C, column C. Is that what you're referring to as column 3?
No, yeah, no.
The C.
So your table, this is your table here.
Yes.
You can see that your table has 3 columns only.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, so we are not starting from A.
You're not starting from A. So you're not looking at that table only. So even if you move the table here, even though it's starting from column D, this is still the first column of your table. And this is the second column, and this is the third column.
Okay, now I get it. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, let me send this. So
hi, Kemi, I just wanted to ask, does it work same way in Google Docs?
Yeah, it should work the same way in Google Docs. Yeah, it might not work exactly the same way, but if you put the formula in, then it would work.
Okay.
If you put the formula in, it would work. I haven't tried it, but all the formulas work in Google Docs, so I think it would work.
Okay.
Another thing, Kemi, please, can you send the document again on this chat? And someone is asking, the other lady is still asking for the document on Telegram.
Okay. For me to send the doc, we won't let me send it while it's open. So I'm just going to stop sharing.
Sorry about that.
Then close this so that I can send this document.
Thank you.
You have the data now, right?
Yes, thank
you.
Okay. Should we practice some more before we move on to the next?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we've got the first thing, okay?
My question is, sorry, can I ask a question?
Sorry, say that again.
Can I ask a question if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
So now that we have like different sheets, is it possible to do it on another sheet? Like
yes, you can. You want to do the formula on another sheet?
On another sheet, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Let me copy this on. So let's see. Let's copy this for instance. So I'm going to the second sheet now. So you want us to do it on another sheet while the data is on a different sheet?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking? Yeah, it works the same way, really. So let's try it. It's just where you're just picking your data from the other sheet. Let's try this. Equal to, let's do it together.
VLOOKUP.
VLOOKUP.
Open bracket.
Open bracket.
Employee ID.
Employee ID.
ID.
Comma.
Table. The table.
Yes.
Because our table is on another sheet, we just go to that sheet.
Yeah, the class.
And select our table. That's all. Comma. And it's asking us for the column index. So we're doing first name, right?
Yeah, that's for column 3, isn't it?
Column 3, comma 3.
Yes, that's not.
So comma 3, comma.
Exact match, false.
Exact match, false, and enter. And that is it. So you can have it on different workbooks even. It doesn't matter where you have it, as long as you're pointing your formula to where that table is, then it's fine. You can even have the employee ID on a different sheet, and then you can still, as long as you're pointing your formula to the right cell, then it will still work the same way. If we look at, yes, go ahead. That's someone wanted to ask a question. Okay, so we have
sorry, after selecting the column, which is 3, then what? Sorry.
And that is when you either put true or false. So false is your exact match.
So was it going to be a comma and then, or you just
put the
true?
comma. So when you want to put something else, it always has to be a comma. And that is when you're doing it without the box, the function box. So at the beginning, when you are new to VLOOKUP, you can start with the function box. But by the time you start doing it, you realize that you don't really need the function box because you already know what is going to come next. You can already see what you need to put. Well, if it's confusing, just use the box. And what the box does is, because it's in different compartments, it will put the comma automatically. So equal to, even without typing it, you can always go to formula and go to your lookup, and then you can look for VLOOKUP here. And then it will ask you for your lookup value, which is your employee ID, your table, your column index, free, and then you have a false here and okay. And when you look at it, you can see that it's put the comma for you, and that's because you use a dialog box. So if you're not comfortable with just doing it straight, just use the dialog box, and then you can just follow, what you need to put in the different cells. So we have our first name, we have last name. So we have Brad, and you know that once we put it in once we put the formula in a cell, we don't need to retype that formula.
You just drag it down, huh?
We can just drag it down.
Yeah.
However, when we drag down, you know that sometimes you need to like fix your data so that when you drag it down, it works. Let me show you what I'm saying. So like we have Brad now. If we drag this down, let's drag this down and see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see what has happened? That some is not finding some. And when it can't find it, it will come up with an NA. Let's see what has gone wrong with this. Look at Brad. Look at our table. So I'm just going to click here so you see what we are selecting. So when you click the formula bar, you can see where your formula is pointing to, because the cell will be selected. So we have this table B, and our table address is B3 to D20. And then we're looking at J5, which is fine for that cell. But I'm going to show you the next one. Can you see what has happened with the next one? Our selection has moved because we dragged it down without freezing the table. This might not be so clear. Let me show you, Tony. Let me show you this one. Can you see what has happened here?
See now.
Yeah, please, could you, I don't know, do you explain it again?
Okay. So on Brad, we know that our table starts from cell B3 and ends in D20, right?
Yeah.
If we drag it down, because the way the formula works in Excel, when you drag it down, it would always look at the relative cell. So if there's a cell, if you click it and you say pick two cells next to this, no matter where you put that formula, it will always pick two cells next to that cell. But if you want it to just pick, let me use the sheet 2. Let me use the blank sheet 2 to show what I'm saying. So we'll go. I have milk. I have babe. Okay. So if I have a simple formula and say equal to E2, this cell. So what I'm saying is this formula is referring to this cell, and it's just looking back 3 cells and it's picking the cell. If I drop this formula down, can you see what so this will pick goats, this will pick beef, this will pick 0 because it's looking at this cell. It's looking at that blank cell.
Okay.
But if I need to freeze a formula, so this milk that I've put here, I want it to only reference this cell, this E2. I don't want, anywhere I put that formula, I don't want it to move. Anywhere I drag it to, I don't want that to change. Can you see this E2? What I need to do is put a dollar in front of E and a dollar in front of 2. When I put a dollar in front of E, E is the column. I'm saying anywhere, don't change this E for any reason. And when I put a dollar in front of 2, I'm saying this row 2, I want it to stay the same. No matter where I put this formula, it would always be referencing this E2. Enter. Let me drag it down now, then you see what I'm saying. So when I drag it down, can you see what is happening? No matter where I drag it to, it would always be looking at E2 because I have frozen it. Sometimes you might need to freeze the row and leave the column. Sometimes you might need to freeze the column and leave the row, depending on what you're doing. And sometimes you might want to freeze the two. Let's go back to our table. Is that clear?
Yeah. Yes.
And also to put a dollar, you can use the F4. If you have a standard keyboard, you can just, if you click on it, so if you click on it and press F4, then it would, let me do that for you, go to this E2. So if I want to freeze it, all I need to do is press F4 on my keyboard. Because I'm using a standard keyboard, it will put the dollar there automatically. So it has frozen the first thing is it will freeze the column and freeze the row. If I want just one of them to be frozen, I press F4 again. So it's left the column and frozen the row. If I press F4 again, it will freeze the column and leave the row. If I press F4 again, it clears it. So if you are using like a standard keyboard, then you can do that. Otherwise, you have to type in the dollar sign manually to the front of whatever you want to freeze. Let me apply it to this now. So Brad, this is our table. And you know that wherever we want to do on air, our table is not going to change, right? Which is why we need to freeze the table so that it doesn't change. Because we have not frozen the table, you can see that the selection of the table has changed. It's just dragging down because we drag the formula down. And then you would have errors because by the time it gets air, it can't find 392128 because it's not selected on the table. This is 392128 air, row 8. So it's not selected. That is why I can't find it. So if you need to do this, you need to freeze your table because you're only referencing that table. No matter where you put the formula, you don't want that table to change. So the first thing I will do, I'll delete this one. So when I do the first formula, I'm going to freeze this table. So what do we freeze there? This table. How do I freeze the table?
Dollar sign.
Dollar sign B3 to B20.
Yeah. So dollar sign
B3 E20.
Yeah.
Yes.
And D20.
D20. Yeah.
I'm typing it manually now. If you have a keyboard, just press F4 and it will freeze it. And enter. So we haven't frozen anything. We have frozen the table, right? So if we drag it down, let's drag it down. Can you see that it has all worked? Because no matter where you look, it's still selecting the old table. So it's always good when you drag your formula down, always make sure that whatever you need to freeze it first before you do the dragging. Otherwise, you get errors. Can you see that everywhere is still picking the old table? Is that clear?
Yeah.
So if we need to drag it to last name, what do we do? I want to drag this formula to last name. Because the thing with Excel is you only need to put your formula once and you just drag it anywhere. What do we do if I drag it to the last name? Let's try it first and see what happens. Who knows what has happened here?
You need to
you haven't filled the column for the last name.
Sorry.
No, because you put column 3 instead of column
2 for last
2.
name.
Yeah.
So it should be 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's put 2. Let's see. Let's put 2. So we'll change it to 2.
You need to unfreeze the row.
We need to unfreeze
the row. I think you need to unfreeze the row.
Which row?
Unfreeze the table.
Unfreeze the table.
Yeah.
Why do we need to unfreeze the table? The table is still selected.
Okay, I think you need
We need
to
to freeze that
freeze the
column.
table so that the column for the last name appears. Then you can freeze it and drag it all the way.
No, it's not the table. No, the table is absolutely fine.
Yeah, the value has moved from J to K.
Yes, the value has moved from J to K because our lookup, this is what we're using to look up. We're using our employee ID. That is the unique value that we're looking up to the first column of the table. And because we drag the formula to the right, J has moved to K. So before we drag it, what do we need to freeze here?
Freeze J.
We need to freeze J.
We need to freeze J.
We need to freeze J, yeah.
Do we need to freeze 5?
No, 5 is fine.
5 is fine because
we don't need to freeze 5. No, we don't need to freeze 5.
We don't need to freeze 5 because if we freeze 5, then we are not moving from one cell. But because we want to, select rows down, then we only freeze the column and leave the row. So if I drag it to the side now, and then this is when we will now change the 3 to 2. And then we have our answer. And then if we drag this down, because we have everything, the right things frozen, it works.
DHL, you can go feed.
Sorry? I didn't hear that. Sorry, say that again. Okay. So that's the first name and the last name. Okay. So we want to know, we have another table here. We want to know what city and state they come from.
Excuse me, sorry, Kemi. Can you please just give us 2 minutes? Let us quickly practice what you just taught us now on the data that we've got, and let's see how ours work. Just 2 minutes.
Okay, do you want to share? Do you want to share your screen or?
Please.
No, maybe individuals should do theirs first, and if they're not getting it, then.
Can somebody share the data with me? I didn't receive it on Telegram. Can somebody share? I'm on my laptop.
It's on Zoom.
I know, but I said I was driving, so I couldn't do it. I was driving. I was using my car, my phone to watch the meeting.
So where do you need it?
You can. I'm on my laptop now, so you can send it on Zoom now. But I thought somebody was going to send it to me on Telegram.
It's on the chat box. If you can open the,
we can check. We can send it on Telegram, and then it's on Zoom already.
I know, but I was on Zoom on my phone. Once you log in on Zoom on another device, it's going to disappear. You're not going to have the old chats anymore. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
that's fine. So I'll send it on Telegram for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. While you're practicing, I want you to do city and states. Okay?
Kemi, you said we should do the other table, right?
Yes, so I put city and state and
Okay.
find the city where this employee is. And the
All right.
table is just right under. So you're going to reference the table below. And when you do it, please just put the formula once and drag it. So see how you can drag.
All right.
Okay.
So just type the formula in one cell and drag it around and see, so that you're able to practice freezing the row and the column, whatever is needed.
Okay.
Do you want me to share my screen so that I will be able to see if I'm right or wrong?
Yes, please share your screen.
Okay, thank you.
Can you share? As in,
No, I cannot.
oh, okay.
That's fine. Yeah,
so
that's
I need
okay.
No, you should be able to. Can you try? I think you should be able to share screen. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I can't share because Kemi is sharing. So that's okay. Maybe when Kemi does finish ours, then I'll compare.
Stop sharing. Okay.
Okay.
I'll share my one.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so this is what I did.
Okay.
So I did VLOOKUP for this employee ID, which is on J, column J.
Yeah.
And then the array of table is the one here. So I have to pick this table down here.
Yeah, that's correct.
And then thereafter, because of the city is in second column. So I did pick second. And the first, which is I want the exact
March.
Data. Yeah. So I did that. And
yeah, that's
then
brilliant.
I dragged it down, but fortunately, yeah, because I have to lock them because of if I dragged it down like that, it won't pick up properly. Yeah, absolutely. So I had to lock the J so to make sure that the VLOOKUP is looking at J only, not any other column. Yeah. So and then I have to lock the array as well so that the VLOOKUP will make sure that it's looking at the table array here. Yeah. So that's what I did.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And then how did you do state?
State, I just dragged it from city to state, and then I changed the column because it has already been locked. Then I just changed it to column 3, and that was what I did.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. Brilliant.
Thank you. So let me stop sharing.
Well done.
Thanks. How will I be able to stop sharing?
So how many times did you put the formula?
Just once. I just dragged it down the way you dragged it.
So that's for the state and the city.
Yes.
So did you do a formula for the other one?
Which one is that?
The last name and first name.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. Let me check.
So you have it like
oh yes, the first name and the last. Yeah, I did the same thing. Yeah.
So you did a formula for first name and last name?
Yes, I did.
And then you did another formula for city and state?
Yes, please.
Do you know that you can drag the formula from first name to city?
Okay. Yes, I did, but that means I have to be changing the table of array, and I didn't want to start messing up my whole formula to look messy so that I won't miss any of the details in the process.
Let me show you.
Okay.
How to drag. Let me. Did someone else want to share before we move to that? I think Rachel wanted to share, right? Was it Rachel?
Yeah, but I'm still there, my one.
You're still?
I can share. It's fine. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Will soon end. We have 30 more minutes.
Okay, let's move on then. If you're not able to share, I'm gonna share.
Our training is from 9 to 11, I believe.
Yeah, it's 9 to 11 actually. So we have, I think it's the breakout room that has 12 more minutes.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Maybe we can leave it to run anyway, or if someone insists we have to come, we can come back. Yeah,
okay,
that's
fine. Okay. So what I was saying is when you have your formula A, you can actually drag it all down to the side. And I'm going to show you how to change it. I will delete this. So once you put your formula in once, I'm going to drag this to city. Remember how we changed this Brad? So we change this to 2, right? And then the city, what is changing here is the table, right? So what I'm going to do, once you click on your formula bar, your table is highlighted. You can literally drag this table. Can you see the red outline on the table? Yes. Once I put my cursor here, it changes. So I can drag that and put it where I want. So I can drag it and put it here. And then it's looking at this table. And I want the city, which is 2.
Easy peasy.
So in Excel, once you put the formula first, just put one formula, and then you can just drag, you can chop and change it as you want. So once it's highlighted, all you need to do, if this is the first one you did as well, you can always drag it. I can drag this table anywhere I want on this sheet, and then it's looking at this.
Sorry, what about when you have a bigger table and what the content of what you're dragging is smaller than the table? You can extend the table as well.
You can extend the table. Let me make this one smaller. So if I want to drag this, if this is the content, for instance, I want to drag it to the next one. So if I drag it here, and then all I need to do is extend it at this corner, and that's it.
So one question: what if the data is really, really big? Like you can't drag it, you can't drag it down.
If the data is really big, you can always, there are 2 things you can do. If the data is really big, because normally when you use VLOOKUP, you're using big data. If the data is really big, I'll select the whole column. So because I have something else here, it's always easier to select the whole column. Let me move this out of the way. If I move this out of the way, so what I would normally do from here is, instead of selecting a particular cell to a particular cell, I can just do column B to column D. So this is selecting, what is selecting is the whole column. And one thing I didn't mention is, when you select your table, always make sure for VLOOKUP, your first column has to match what you are looking up. So if you are looking up anything, the employee ID has to be on the first column of the table. So your lookup has to be on the first column of the table you are looking up. Otherwise, it doesn't work. An example, let me show you. So I know someone mentioned that we didn't start from A. If you click on this and we select to A, column A, for instance, can you see what has happened? Even though we have the table selected, the table is still within our selection, but because our lookup is not on the first column of that table, then it won't find it, because it's always looking for that item on the first column of the table. So it won't find it if it's not on the first column of the table. So anytime you select your table, make sure that what you're finding is on the first column of the table. So if it's a very large data, I would normally just select, I'll just select the whole column. But as long as your first column is the column where lookup is looking for that item you're looking for. So that is one. I'm going to change this back to B. The next thing I need to show you is, for VLOOKUP to work, what you're looking up has to be unique. So it's only looking for, because what it does is it will just look for the first one it finds and then return it. I'm going to give an example. So this is Brad. So we know Brad is 990,678. So I'm just going to put that somewhere. So that's Brad. So I've got these two numbers the same on this data. I'm going to highlight it in pink. If you do a lookup to look for this number, lookup will just bring you the first number it finds. Once it finds that number, it's not going to go down and see if it's going to find another number like that. It's just going to return the first thing it finds, which is a shortcoming of VLOOKUP. So for you to use VLOOKUP and be sure that your data, the data you're getting back is accurate, you have to ensure that the data you're looking up is unique. If we do a lookup here, equal to VLOOKUP, we're looking up this value, comma, we're looking it up here, comma, 3, comma, false. Can you see what it has brought forward? It has brought John. And that's because it starts from the top of the table, and the first number it finds is this one, and it will return John. And we also know that Brad has this number. So anytime you look up, you have to make sure your employee ID is unique. If, for instance, you have this data, this is actual data that you have, and for some reason there's a duplicate in employee ID, you have to find something else to use as a lookup. If, like the employee IDs, if it's not unique, then you can't use that for your lookup. You have to look for something else for your lookup, depending on the type of data you're working with. Anytime you want to do a lookup, always make sure that you look for duplicates. You make sure there are no duplicates in the data. And the way to check for duplicates is you can use the conditional formatting to check for duplicates. So if I select this, for instance, if I go to conditional formatting, I go to highlight cells, and what I want to look for is duplicate values. So look for duplicate values. It comes up with this box. It's in light red field with dark red text. If you find a duplicate, just highlight it. Okay. And immediately we can see that these are duplicates because it will highlight the duplicates. If it's a lot of data, then you might need to filter this. And if you add a filter, and then filter by that number, because if it's a lot of data, most times you might not see it on your screen, but you need to use a filter to check. And once you can filter by this color, then you know that you have duplicates. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So if you have a data like that, then VLOOKUP might not be the best. If you don't have any unique item to look up, then VLOOKUP might not be the best option for you to use in that case. You can always create unique, if you have two fields that you can merge together to create unique ID, then maybe you can use that to create unique IDs so that you can do your lookup. So we've done the city and state. Let's see. Okay. So I wanted to show you the true, when you use the true function as against the false, and what happens. I'm gonna move this back. Looks better on this one. Yeah. So we have June. Let's look at the pay band. We have pay. So we have their pay bands further down here. So minimum of 25 is pay level A, 50K is B, 75K is C, 100K is D, and 150K is E. Let's see, we want to put pay bands on this table. Control C. Let's put the pay band here. So I want to see what pay band this falls into. If we do a lookup, equal to VLOOKUP, open a bracket, we'll click on pay, but that's what we want to use to find the pay band that belongs to, comma, and then we'll pick our table, which is this table here, comma, instead of the column that we're picking is column 2, comma. In this case, instead of false, I'm going to pick true because I want an approximate match. I want it to just pick, the level that income is within. So if we do true, enter. Can you see what has happened here? So this is 84,289 and it returned level C. So it looks for what it is closest to and returns that. So that is within level C, which is the difference between true and false. If we put false, it's not going to find it because it's going to be looking for an exact match. So if we pull this, let's freeze this first. Our breakout room is going to close soon.
Don't worry, I think I will leave it open after the session.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's automatically closed.
I think it will automatically close.
Okay. We'll come back anyway. We'll open it. Okay.
Okay. So if we drag this down, then it will pick different levels. 23,000, you can't find anything that is close to. So which is why it's returning NA. So when you use true, it's just, I would expect it to pick 25,000, level A. But it just looks at the minimum. Okay, that's pay minimum. So this is below the minimum, which is what is not picking it. It's returning NA. If this is 26,000, for instance, it would return level A. So we'll do this again when we come back. Have we extended this? In terms of the recording, it's going to stop as well, right?
It doesn't look like it's actually kicking off. I spoke to someone.
Looks like we're back in.
So we're going to start another breakout room for the DAs and the QAs.
And the BAs too, please, sir. Sorry.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought you said you guys are ready.
Yeah, I just had several questions come up last minute. Sorry, sir.
All right. So we just, okay.
What you have to do, get the job.
Mm.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. Okay, so we're just doing the true, using the true option as against the false. Can we try this, please? On the pay band.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, excuse me, Ma. How did you do the one for Jordan? How did you change it from NA to level?
Oh no, I just changed it. I just changed the amount. Can you change the amount to 26,000 for messed up my data. So in this case, instead of using the false, you're using true.
Hi, Kemi. Sorry, I can't hear you. Oh, okay.
I'm here. I'm waiting for.
Oh, okay.
Have you been able to do that using the true option instead of false for the pay band?
Unfortunately, I can't drag my table.
Okay. Why not? Do you know that you have to put your cursor at the corner to be able to drag?
Not
you want to share your screen?
take it. Oh.
Do you want to share your screen so we can see what you're doing?
Okay, okay.
Let me stop sharing.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was, let me take that away first. Oh my God. Oh. Okay. Let me take this away.
You can do escape.
I want to delete it.
You can do escape and start again.
Okay.
You want to drag it, right? Yeah. So when you
yes, so then I want to drag it.
Okay, so click on your
here.
Yeah. So if you want to drag it, the first thing you need to do is click on your formula bar.
Oh, okay.
Click in your formula bar, and then you now see everything highlighted. So if you the table is further down.
Yes. But I was thinking of clicking this and then dragging it just the way you taught.
Yeah, but because you're not looking at the table, if you scroll down, you see the table you need to drag. So that's so just drag it to the next table.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You know why you can't drag it? Yeah. So you go to the side. No, not in the middle. Go to that red line. Put your cursor around that. No, go up with it.
Okay.
No, down. In the middle. Put it in the middle. Can you see that change? No, put it at the edge. And then you see that, that is when you can drag.
Oh, okay.
Can you see that has changed? Your cursor will change to that arrow cross.
Oh, okay.
And that is when you can drag it.
Oh, okay.
So then just drag the corners in then. Yeah, and you can drag the corners in from the top. Yeah, that's it. Now, the reason why it's not working is when you were trying to drag, you clicked in other places.
Oh.
So I will escape this. If you do escape, and then do it again. Click in the formula bar.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it will show you what you need to drag. Okay. And enter. If you press enter, but there's still
She still needs to change her.
She still
needs to change her formula. It's still on false.
No, there's still something. Even apart from that, there's still something. What are you looking up? What you're looking up has not changed.
Oh, okay.
So if you click on the formula bar.
Yeah, she needs to select pay column.
Yeah. You need to drag. If you go back to that formula, click in the formula bar. And then, so when it's highlighted, you can see the blue highlighted. That is what you need to drag. But before you can drag it, make sure, no. If you go back, you need to make sure your cursor has changed. Go to this, go to, can you see that? Can you see that change? That is when you can drag.
Oh.
Can you see that your cursor changed to like cross with arrows?
Yes.
That is when you can actually move it.
Okay.
And then there's still something else you need to do.
I need to change the column.
You need to change the column,
to column B. 2.
2, yeah. And there's something else.
Yes, true or false?
True.
True, approximately, yeah.
So it won't pick number 23,000 because it's lower than. So if you change that to 26,000, it would pick it because it's lower than what we have on the table. Is that clear?
Yes,
so anytime
it is.
you want to drag, what your cursor is doing is very important. It needs to change before you can drag it.
Okay.
So if you want to if you want to fill the formula down, then you put it in the corner, and then it changes to like a thin cross, and then you can drag it down. If you want to move the whole cell, if you put it like on the box, it changes to that cross with like arrows, and then you can move it. Is that clear?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Thanks.
Is everyone okay with that? Now we can move on to another type of lookup, which is HLOOKUP.
Yes, we're okay.
Okay. So I sent HLOOKUP. I've pasted the data. Where's HLOOKUP? I'm going to share my screen. Do you have the data for the HLOOKUP?
No, I don't.
I put it in it's in the chat.
Yes, I've seen it. Thank you.
Okay. The person on Instagram, can you see that the HLOOKUP data? Oh, the person on Telegram, rather, not Instagram.
I can see it. I'm on my laptop now. Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
Great. Okay. Okay, so this is the HLOOKUP. And the only difference between HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP is while V you are looking up columns, HLOOKUP you are looking up rows. So it's also it's like your VLOOKUP, but there are some data that what you need to look up is on your row, is not on the column. The previous one we're doing, we had them on columns, so we wanted to look up on columns. This one, we want to look up on the row. So this is another data, employee ID, employee name. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Access to the data.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so HLOOKUP. HLOOKUP. And
sorry, please, where did you send this data to? I can't find it.
It's on the chart.
Why can't I see it?
I put it on the chart now.
Scroll up, scroll up. You sent it at 5:40. Okay, so that's my time. At 10:14 p.m.
Yeah.
On the chart.
It's at 13 past 10. It's just there, it's just before the last
okay.
The last message. Okay. So we want to look at, I want to use HLOOKUP for this. So we have employee ID on row 22. We have the name on row 3, department row 4, salary and bonus on row 6. So here, what's the department of employee with ID 502? So this is the employee 502. You know, we have this massive document and we want to know the department of this employee. So we use HLOOKUP because we are looking up rows as against column. And it's really the same thing. HLOOKUP. We can use the equal to HLOOKUP. If we use the function, so that the function is like the same like the last one we did. Our lookup value is 502. So we're looking up 502. And our table is this table here. Always ensure that whatever you're looking up is on the first row. And then we're looking for the department, right, of this employee. The department is on row 1, 2, 3. Row 3. And then we want an exact match, which is false. Okay. So employee 502 is in customer service department. Is that clear? Let's do it again.
I think quite on yes, please.
Sorry?
I didn't understand that one.
Okay, let's do it again. So we're looking for employee 502. Let's even assume that, okay, no, because I've sent this already. I won't change the spreadsheet. Equal to HLOOKUP. And the reason why we're using HLOOKUP is we're looking up rows as against column. Open the bracket. Let's look at the function box. We're looking for employee 502, right? I want to know what department this employee is. So that's 502. If we click on the table, we select the old table, and this is our table here. And then what is going to be our row index? We're looking for departments. So department is on row 3. So that's row 3. And we want an exact match. That is false. And it's okay. And then it's return customer service for employee 502, employee with ID 502. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do another one.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
You know, when we want to select the table array, let's say we have large data. On here we could see B, then let's say we have from column B to maybe Z or whatever, you know, large, whereby we have large data. So
just
is there a way
select your data like this. Just select it select all the columns.
Okay.
Sometimes your data is so large, you know, you can always do like a Control A to select your data. Or if, for instance, okay, this data is, let me limit it to, let me pick C. So you can always, you know, change, you can change your data here. So if your data goes as far as maybe ZZ, all you need to do is I will come here and I'll just change this to ZZ. And then you know you have selected up to ZZ. So you can always find the end of your data by clicking end, pressing end on your keyboard. So you can find the end of your data. So you can actually manually input the end of your data if you don't want to select far off. Or there are other ways you can select, you know, it's just because this is a test, and that is why we have the questions here. So ideally, this would be like on its own spreadsheet. And you can always, like when you click on, you can always do your Control Shift and your down arrow to select everything, all your data. Or look for the end of your data, make sure you have the formula, the cell that signifies the end of your data here. So sometimes your data is so large that you can't continue to drag. But as long as just make sure that you find the end of your data and make sure that when you look at your formula here, you can see that it has selected everything. Is that clear?
Please, that question three, do you mean
fine, yeah.
ID 507 or
yeah,
5107?
I meant 507. Please correct that.
All right.
So what's the salary of employee with ID 505? So ideally, you have 505 somewhere.
So you do B hook H.
So it will be equal to H lookup. Let's open a bracket.
Okay.
What's our lookup value?
G2.
That'll be 505
yeah,
anyway.
G2. Comma. B5. The whole table. The whole table. Yeah. We're looking at the.
We're looking at
salary.
Salary is on
one. The first
1, 2, 3, 4. On the 4.
On the 4, yeah. So salary is 4.
4, yeah.
Comma.
False.
And it's false. It's already giving us. And then employee 505 is 70,000.
Yeah.
And when you do your formula in Excel, always make sure that, you check that is correct. So you make sure you build checks onto your spreadsheet. So you can like do a spot check to just make sure that what you're picking is correct. Let's do employee ID 507. Let's change that to 507. Oh, no. Can we actually, we can actually copy this. We can freeze our table and just copy this and paste here. Should we do that? Let's freeze our table. And I'm going to freeze, because this is always going to be a point of reference, row 2. So I'm going to freeze row 2 here. And then I can copy this and paste here. And what do I change? I just click on my formula bar. I'm moving this to 507. And I'm looking for total pay. Total pay is row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total pay is row 6. And I need to change that to 6. And I've got 30,000. Can we try and do that and see what we'll get?
Okay.
Well, for some reason, I don't have this data. I don't know why I can't see it.
You don't have this data?
Yes, can't see it.
Can you see the chart?
Yes, I can see the chart. I can see the message till the one that you wrote, and that's the end.
It's before that one.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's just the one before that.
All right. Thank you.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So you've been able to do it, so we can move on.
For me, yes.
Okay. Okay. To like do a selection on maybe a large data. Okay. So I've got another data here. I just wanted to show how to select a large data. So I think this data is more than the last one. So if we want to do a lookup, for instance, so this is not an ideal data for lookup because they are duplicates, but I just want to show how to select a large data. So to select this, so this data goes all the way down. So if I want to do a lookup on this, for instance, I would do equals to v lookup. I'm looking for bike, comma. This is the column bike is, so I have to start from that column. We always have to start from. So sometimes you don't have to select your whole table, because always remember that what you're looking up has to be on the first column of your selection. So in this case, I can either select the whole column, and I want to know the region. Let's just assume I want column 5. I want column 5. So you can either select your whole column, or you can select it like this. If you select the first few and just press your Control and your Shift button down and your down arrow, it will take you to the end of the spreadsheet. So no matter how long the spreadsheet is, as long as it's a continuous, it has continuous data and there's no break, it will take you to the very end if you press down your Shift, Control, and your down arrow. Is that clear? Or you can look for the last item, the last cell, which is G117, and manually impute it. So that's just how to select a large data. Okay. I think how much time do we have left to do something else? For next week,
we're about 20 minutes.
We have about 20 minutes. For next week, if there's something in particular that you want me to touch, if you can just send the message, if you put the message on Telegram, then I'll be able to pick that up. For now, let me send another data. We can do, we can start if function, and we'll continue with this next week. I'm gonna put the data in the chart. Okay. So I'll put another data in the chart, and then we'll use that for the next session. Did you get the data?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start. Okay. So so we're going to be looking at the if function. And when I was talking about VLOOKUP, sometimes when you have duplicates in the data, VLOOKUP might not be the best option to use. So sometimes you might need to use like your if function or your SUMIF, depending on what you're doing. So the if function is one of the logical functions, and it's mainly looking for a condition that is satisfied, and then you're asking it to do something. So you're saying, if this condition is satisfied, if you can find this condition, then do this. And you're going to put this in a formula. So this is a simple data. Santa Claus gives kids Christmas gifts, but only if they are younger than 10. Can you see my screen? Am I sharing the right one?
Yes, I think you're sharing the wrong one, because this is not what you sent to them. This is not what you sent to the chat.
I can see your screen.
That's what she said.
Can you see name, age,
Yeah.
receives gifts?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sharing the right one, okay? So we have this data, and we're saying that if the child is younger than 10, then that child will receive a gift from Santa. If that child is older than 10, then no gift. This is a small data, so we can easily see who is older or who is younger. To put a formula here, we use the if function. And what if does is it looks for a particular condition. If that condition is satisfied, it brings true or it says false. And then we're going to say, if it's true, then do this. If it's false, do this. So we're going to type equal to if. And we'll bring out the box first. We'll start with the box. Equal to if, open the bracket.
Sorry, I think what is confusing the person is there are two sheets there. The first one, I think whenever you click on it,
I have
opens the
another
sum
sheet
if.
open.
Yeah, it opens the sum if sheet as well.
Okay. Okay, so I've stopped sharing everything. Then I'm going to share. So there should just be one now.
Now I'm talking about the document you sent. There are two sheets attached.
Okay, yeah.
So
please, let's start with the first tab, the if. So if you can see my screen, is the first tab. I'm starting on the first tab. Is that okay?
Yes.
So we start with the formula if. And it's basically typing equal to if, open a bracket. And let's bring out the box. Our logical test is, our question is, we want to know which of this kid, who is older than 10 and who is younger than 10. Because it's only when you're younger that you get a gift from Santa. So our logical test is if age is less than 10. Do you agree? So we want to know who is less than 10. So if this is my age is less than 10. Can you see that it's already brought out true here? So if C is less than 10, what happens? If C is less than 10, then that means they can get a gift. I'm going to go back. Get a gift, yes. I'm going to put yes here. Or if C is not less than 10, then they won't get a gift. Let's put no here. Yes and no. And okay. If I drag this down, we can see that only 3 people are going to get a gift because they are less than 10. Is that clear?
Yeah, please do it again.
So to know what is less than 10, it has to be that number has to be less than 10. So it's basically saying equal to, if we say this is less than 10, for instance, it will bring true because it's actually true. If we drag this down, it would either bring true or false, right? But what we want to do is we're going to say that if it is less than 10, then do this. Otherwise, do this. So we're going to use the if function. It would be equal to if, we'll open a bracket. Let's open the function box. If C3 is less than 10. If that condition is met, if that condition is true, then I want to put a yes. Or you can say, okay, let's put, for instance, gifts. And then if that condition is false, let's put no gifts. Okay. And if we drag that down, we can see the people that will get gifts. Tommy is 5, gets a gift. Grace is 2, gets a gift. Jim is 14, no gift. Sarah is 15, no gift. Kate has a gift, and Kim has no gift. So you can literally put anything you want it to do if the condition is met. So this is like a logical function. It's just saying, okay, if this is true, do this. If it's not true, do this. And this is a powerful function because you can actually you can put your if inside another if. So sometimes, you see some formulas and you open it and it's so big because there are so many ifs. So you can continue to say, if this is true, do this. Or if false, then try another one. If this is true, do this. But it takes practice to be able to do that. And you can, but once you start using if, then you can start building on it. But this is just the beginning of if. So it just checks that a condition is met and returns whatever you want it to return. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this on our worksheet. So you can use anything if it's true, maybe you can stick with a yes or no, depending on what you want to do. Were we able to do it?
Yes.
Is anyone struggling with that? Okay. Let's move to the next tab. We've got only 5 minutes. Okay. We are going to continue with the sum if and other types of if next week. If you have anything you want me to touch next week, please send a message. And then I would include it in next week if you have something in particular. So next week, I know we looked at lookups today, but I want to touch index and match as well as an alternative to lookup, to VLOOKUP. And I'm going to show that next week, and we'll touch on we'll do some ifs and some logical functions next week. If you have any questions, please, we can take it before we go. On any of the topics we've done tonight.
Okay, please, the freezing the columns and the row.
Okay.
Yes, please, could you go over that again?
Okay. New share. Let's go back to VLOOKUP. Okay. So to freeze, all you need to do, and you know what we are freezing is we're either freezing the column or the row. And all you need to do to freeze it is to put $1 either behind the row or behind the column or behind both of them. And the example I used here, so if we are referencing this cell, the milk here, if you do equal to this cell here, enter. If you wanted to only look at, always look at E2 here, I would freeze the row as well as the column. So all you need to do is put a dollar behind the column and a dollar behind the row. And anywhere you drag it to, it would always reference that cell, the milk. But without freezing, if you don't freeze that, and then when you drag it, it will always look at 2 cells to the left and pick whatever is there. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So that is why you freeze. And when you freeze, all you need to do is just put a dollar behind either the column or the row, whatever you want to freeze.
Okay, thank you.
In this case, here we have frozen the table, which is from B3 to D20. And anywhere we put that formula, it would always reference this table because we have frozen it. Okay. I hope it's been useful, and I would see you again next week.
Thank you. How soon do you think we're going to get the recording?
I will send the recording this night to the admin, and they will be able to share it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.